seen very positively, yet there are some Republicans at home, i.e. in the US, who are threatening to block funding for Ukraine in some shape or form in the future. Is that voice likely to get louder sort of right now? Is the possibility of what could happen to Ukraine if it loses dawning on the public and politicians alike?
Certainly, the Ukraine war is going to become a much more debated issue in internal politics here in the United States, as President Biden is likely to declare his own campaign for re-election in the coming weeks or perhaps coming couple of months. With that, we also have now the Republican control of the House of Representatives, and they have vowed to make the Ukraine war an issue of at least debate here in the United States, both in terms of how much the United States is spending, but also in terms of the Biden family's connections to Ukraine, with President Biden's son, Hunter Biden, having had some connections to Ukraine. So it will become very politicized. It could become quite nasty here in Washington, but overall, there is strong bipartisan support throughout the Republican Party and among congressional Democrats for what President Biden is doing. The Biden administration, I think, came in with this idea that somehow they could maintain and nurture the status quo, that the world, the way it was when President Biden came into office, was just fine. It wasn't great, but it was just fine, and they could maintain the status quo. But we've seen with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, worsening relations with China, an inability to get back into a nuclear agreement with Iran. All of these issues, all of these important countries, Iran, China, Russia, none of them are willing to sit still and be part, in a sense, in a status quo that they didn't like. And so each one of them at the same time is becoming more active in terms of its own policies and potentially aligning together. We're seeing much more, and this is something the Biden administration is actually afraid of, much more of a closening of relations between Russia and China, between Russia and Iran, between Iran and China. If those three countries could come together in a very effective way to challenge American power, the Biden administration will have to deal with foreign policy for the remainder of its presidency in a very stark and potentially contentious way.